Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. This episode stars Lana Turner in The Flame Blue Glove, as it was originally broadcast on December 15th, 1949.
Suspense. Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Miss Lana Turner in The Flame Blue Glove, a transcribed suspense play produced and edited by William Spear. And now, with The Flame Blue Glove and with a performance of Lana Turner, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
The trouble is, you never had any feelings, Dutch. You don't know what it is to feel, not like other people feel. You've spent too much time looking out at the world through dirty windows. I never liked working for your detective agency. I never liked you, Dutch. I never liked you at all. This is my last case. And this is my last report. You'll have to train someone else to go out and get tangled up in other people's lives. I thought I was through working for you when I married Jimmy Conway. But I was wrong. You showed up again last week. I was working in my garden. Even above the smell of the roses, I could smell trouble.
Hello, Shadow.
What? Dutch! Where did you come from?
Just in the neighborhood. Here, give me those things.
What do you know about a rose bush?
I know this one's got thrips. Trim it, use nicotine spray for a week or 10 days, clear it up just like that.
Death, taxes, and Dutch. You know everything. You haven't changed a bit. Same pipe, same awful tobacco. How's the detective business?
I miss you, Shadow. You're the best operative I ever had.
Oh, I'm flattered, Dutch.
This gilded cage stuff okay? Gardens, clothes, car, time on your hands. You really like it?
What do you think? Would you rather be a lady detective if you were me?
Maybe. I don't know. You wouldn't be interested in working on a case, would you?
I am now a happily married bride working on keeping her handsome husband. Besides, my license expired.
I could fix that. This one's right up your alley, Shadow. You did the groundwork when you were with me.
Sorry.
I know the case was closed, but it's been nagging me. I still think it was murder.
What case are you talking about?
The Conway case. Mrs. Conway.
I looked at you. You weren't kidding, but you were smiling. And you only smiled when something might go wrong for somebody.
Yeah, I still believe your husband killed his first wife. Hate me?
Who hired you?
Nobody, just nagged by the fact, Shadow. Eloise Conway, wealthy wife of not-so-wealthy Jim Conway, drinks 10 dissolved sleeping tablets New Year's Eve. Coroner's jury says suicide. I just can't buy it.
The police accepted the coroner's verdict.
That day at the coroner's inquest, you disappointed me, Shadow, refusing to go on the stand. You'd been tailing him for 2 months. You could have told about his 3 lady friends.
Telling those things to a coroner's jury wouldn't have helped one way or the other. Jimmy's clean and decent, Dutch.
He would have been arrested on suspicion of murder if you'd spoken up.
Those girls meant nothing to him. They were just friends.
Maybe, and he might have fed her those pills so he could have one of those friends.
Then why did he marry me instead of whoever it was?
You saved his hide, Pigeon. You didn't tell the coroner about his friends. Maybe he married you to play it safe for a while. Maybe...
Jimmy had nothing to do with Eloise's death.
You know, I keep thinking what she said when she hired us. How did she put it? Yeah. Jimmy married me for my money. He was in love with somebody else. As soon as he thought it was safe, he went back to her.
Went back to who? Who do you mean?
Want to work on the case with me?
No. No, I don't.
Shadow, did you ever stop to think what might happen to you if he isn't innocent? If you let some little suspicion slip out somewhere and he gets it into his head that... Doesn't it ever scare you?
That song's just right, darling.
Oh, Jimmy, you're home early.
No, please, keep playing. Did I ever tell you I love you?
You wouldn't if you knew how really bad I am. But I love you.
Well, you certainly know how bad I am. I'll bet there isn't a husband in the country married to the girl who tailed him all over town before she...
Please, Jimmy.
I'm sorry. We've kidded about this before, I think.
It's just that I've had a bad day, that's all. My fault.
Well, you're trembling. Oh, poor darling. Sarah,
Yes, Jimmy?
maybe you stay around this house too much. Or maybe it's around you too much.
What do you mean?
After all that's happened here. This is where Eloise died. I just thought maybe it gives you the creeps to live here. We can sell it, darling. Get another place.
Oh, no, Jimmy. This is our house now. I never was really jealous of Eloise.
Well, there's nobody else.
But, Jimmy, when Eloise did what she did, you had other friends?
Now, Sarah.
Were you in love with any of those girls? Kathy Dane. You used to sit around that nightclub listening to her sing. And Judy...
Sarah, I never loved anyone. Not Kathy, not Judy, not Eloise, anyone. Until I met you. You believe that, don't you, Sarah?
I want to, Jimmy. I want to so much. The next afternoon, walking down Hollywood Boulevard, I saw an ugly second-floor office, and there was an ugly sign to go with it. Dutch Detective Service. I came up to see you, Dutch, to tell you to drop it.
I won't drop it. They blow their heads off and take poison and jump off of buildings and chew sleeping tablets. But they don't go around hiring detectives to watch their husbands before they do it. Eloise Conway was bumped, and I'm going to find out about it.
You're not going to pin it on Jimmy. He didn't have anything to do with it.
If he didn't, one of his little friends did. Look, these old reports of yours include the names of 3 dames he went out with while you were tailing him.
Yes, that's right.
A torch singer named Kathy Dane, his private secretary, Millicent Taylor, and a Miss $1 Million named Judy Fleetwood.
And what about them? Look, Dutch, I asked Jimmy about those girls last night. They didn't mean anything to him. A woman knows her husband.
Yeah, well, I know a woman. And if they want a guy bad enough, they'll kill for it. And one of them left this glove on the floor of the bedroom the night our client passed away.
Oh, that old glove. The police weren't even interested in it as evidence.
Well, I am. The police didn't have any Cinderellas to fit it on because you didn't mention Jimmy's girlfriends at the inquest. Which one of them does it fit, Shadow?
Size 6.5, commonest size in the world. Fit anybody. Look, even fits me, Dutch.
Well, the color's a little unusual. You'll grant me that?
Flame blue? Yes, I guess so.
All right. If we find the partner to this glove, we've got something. You gonna help?
I can't.
All right. There's other female ops in this burg. I kind of thought you'd like to do it. You know, see that your husband's handled fair and square, no frames or anything like that.
Oh, all right, Dutch. I'll give it a whirl.
Good.
But in a week, you'll come to me and tell me I was right. That Jimmy's innocent.
Oh, I'm sure I will, Shadow. I'm sure I will.
Autolite is bringing you Miss Lana Turner in The Flame Blue Glove. Tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
December 15th, 1949, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
And here's the cinnamon bear.
The oldest known children's Christmas serial in radio history, The Cinnamon Bear, featuring some of the most popular actors in radio history, including Elliott Lewis, Joseph Kearns, Verna Felton, Lou Merrill, Frank Nelson, Howard McNear, and child actress Barbara Jean Wong. 85 years later, this series of Judy and Jimmy traveling to Maybeland to recover their silver stars still fascinates youngsters of all ages. Now we're offering the entire 26-episode series of The Cinnamon Bear via download for a Buy Me a Coffee donation of $10 or more at classicradio.stream. Support Classic Radio Theater and have The Cinnamon Bear for your family to enjoy for years to come. Go to classicradio.stream and donate $10 or more, and I'll send you a link for immediate download. classicradio.stream. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Suspense, December 15th, 1949.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage our star Lana Turner in The Flame Blue Glove, A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
May I help you, please?
I want to buy some gloves, a size 6.5.
Certainly. Any particular shade in mind?
Yes, blue.
Blue? Yes, of course. Here's a lovely shade, hand-stitched.
I was thinking of, well, more of a flame blue.
Flame blue. Oh, I'm afraid... Oh, I do happen to have a pair. 6.5?
Yes.
Here you are. What about these?
Yes, that's the pair. Exactly what I want. Oh, don't wrap them. I'll wear them.
Lovely for cocktails.
Yes, that's what I'm going to use them for. Mrs. Wingate? Yes, I'm Mrs. Wingate. Oh, won't you sit down, please, Miss Dane? I've always admired your singing so much. I've always been a fan of yours. Kathy Dane records are favorites with all my friends. Oh, I took the liberty of ordering martinis.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Wingate. I don't go on here for another half hour.
Oh, I didn't come to hear you sing this time, Miss Dane. I came to ask you a favor.
Oh?
I want you to sing at a party I'm giving next month at my Bel Air home.
Well, I'm flattered, but I'm afraid I couldn't possibly accept any private engagements.
Oh, I wish you'd reconsider. It's such a special occasion for a very dear friend who's spoken of you.
Oh, who?
Jimmy Conway.
Jimmy?
Yes, he's my neighbor. You know, he's been through so much in the last year with Eloise's death and everything. I felt this party might...
You know Jimmy's wife?
Yes, I've met Sarah. She's very nice.
I'm glad. For Jimmy.
I know I talk too much, but since I've met you, I can't help wondering why you and Jimmy...
It's really quite simple, Mrs. Wingate. I'm a singer. I need backing. Jimmy couldn't help me then. He didn't have the money he inherited when his... Well, anyway, by the time I got my backing, what's-her-name, Sarah, had come between us. I never met her, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did any get on you?
No, but I'm afraid those beautiful gloves of yours are ruined. Oh, what a shame.
Well, I hope it won't take the color out. Flame blue is my favorite.
Mine, too, I guess. I had some gloves pretty much like those ones.
Oh, really?
I lost one of them.
Oh, really? Well, I ruined one here. Perhaps we could make a pair between us. Which one did you lose?
Oh, I can tell by just looking at yours they'd be too small. I wear a 7 3/4 glove. Have to have them made to order. My piano teacher used to call me ham hands. Sorry, I'm not your girl.
No, I'm afraid you're not. No, she wasn't, Dutch. I played the scene well. Smart. Oh, you'd have been proud of me, Dutch. It wasn't easy. Because I was playing with my own life, my happiness. But I did it just the way you taught me. And I gave you the report just the way you taught me. All facts, no emotion.
All right, Shadow, so it isn't Kathy Dane. But that glove fits somebody.
Dutch, I hate it. I'm shaking from it. Oh, Jimmy'll know I'm up to something. Look, drop the whole thing. I'll give you $15,000 I have in my checking account.
I want more than that.
Dutch, I won't let you break this up for me. Jimmy and I have too much.
You mean you're going to try hanging on to him and his money even if Eloise was murdered?
Stop it!
That make you feel better?
I'm sorry.
Okay. 1 down and 2 to go. A secretary and a grass widow. Who's first, Shadow?
I'm so tired, Dutch.
Sure, kid, sure. You need a good night's sleep. I'll drive you home. Oh, by the by, do you sleep good in that house?
Very well.
Just ask, Shadow. Just ask.
You drove me home. I don't know what I was thinking to let you do it. When we got there, we spent an hour sitting in the car while you gave me all the details about Millicent Taylor again. She'd been Jimmy's secretary for 4 years. She'd been out of town at the time of Eloise's death. You wanted to know where. We said goodnight finally, and you drove off.
Evening, Sarah. Since when have taxis been slipping up to the house without lights?
Oh, Jimmy, didn't you get my message?
I'm sure, darling. You wouldn't be home for dinner. Why are you so nervous? Who'd you have dinner with?
Louise Gowans. You remember Louise. She just got in from Honolulu.
Oh, how is Lou?
Oh, fine. Fine, Jim. She asked about you.
Well,
What is it, darling?
don't you kiss your husband when you get home?
Oh, of course. Well, what's the matter?
You're smoking a new brand of cigarettes or something?
No,
Oh, your hair's full of a tobacco smell I seem to remember from somewhere.
Oh, the cab driver was smoking a pipe.
Oh, I remember now. That man you used to work for. He smoked an awful tobacco that I couldn't...
It's just an old, cheap brand. So 2 people smoke it.
Yes. Yes, of course.
I was too clever for him, the way you taught me to be clever. And the next day, Dutch, I used everything you taught me. I had to. Because on my way back from Hollywood, I noticed that a gray coupe had turned with me off the boulevard. I noticed it because it looked exactly like my old car that I sold when I got married. And when it turned with me again at sunset and followed me out to Laurel, I knew that it was tailing me. Oh, I used what you taught me so well, Dutch. I timed traffic lights, dodged up narrow streets, and got away from him. I would have taken his license number and looked him up, Dutch, but I had other things to do first. Things like playing sick, playing a scene for my husband's secretary. Come in. Oh, Millicent. Millicent, it was so sweet of you to come. Sit over here by the bed.
Are you ill, Mrs. Conway?
Oh, migraine headaches. Unbearable sometimes.
Oh? Shame.
Oh, but I never let Jimmy know about them. Sick wives are such a nuisance to a man.
Yes, they certainly are.
I called you, Millicent, because I've been planning a surprise for Jim's birthday. A costume party.
And you want me to call it off? All right. What guests are coming?
No, I don't want to call it off. Jimmy needs relaxation. I wondered if you'd play hostess for me.
Me?
Hostess? Well, if this stupid headache persists, it'd be a great favor to me, and I know Jim would like it. Say you will, please.
Really, Mrs. Conway?
Please now.
Well, I haven't a costume. I don't know what...
Well, mine's in the closet. I got it from Hollywood costumers today. It would fit you.
Which one?
The colonial with the...
Oh, yes. Well, it's lovely, Mrs. Conway.
Oh, you'd look beautiful in it. I'd almost be afraid to let Jimmy see you wearing it.
Would you?
Now, the only thing it needs is some blue gloves. A flame blue, don't you think? Of course, they're rather difficult to find.
Well, that's no problem. I think I know...
Yes?
You're clever, aren't you, Mrs. Conway?
How do you mean?
You aren't like Eloise. Migraine headaches. She'd have called him away from work a couple of days to nurse her. She was that kind of wife.
You're very fond of my husband, aren't you, Millicent?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Are you in love with him?
Yes. Last winter it got so bad that I had to go to a sanitarium for a while.
Oh, you poor dear.
Everyone thought I was spending the holidays with my sister. When I came back, a lot of things had happened. Eloise had committed suicide,
and I was married to Jimmy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here.
But aren't you going to take the costume with you?
I've got a feeling you'll be up and around by party time. If there is a party. Oh, just in case you want to check it. On New Year's Eve, I was in Riverview Sanitarium, Mrs. Conway. Goodbye.
Just another secretary carrying a torch for a boss. Another bad lead, Dutch. You checked on it next morning.
Well, that's that, Shadow. Okay. But there's still the grass widow. She's smart.
Judy Fleetwood. Look, she was in Reno getting a divorce.
Main service is good, and that glove might fit her.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we're getting near the end, aren't we? You won't say uncle, will you, Dutch?
Nope.
I drove over to Encino to Judy Fleetwood's ranch, a big rambling place that sprawled over several acres, complete with stables, swimming pool, and pictures. The one above the mantel was an oil of Judy herself, but a modest photograph on the desk below was the real eye-catcher. It was Jimmy.
So you're Sarah Conway?
Yes.
Well, this is cozy. Sarah the winner. Judy the loser meet like two ladies and talk about the battle. What do you have?
Oh, nothing, thank you.
Oh, prim, too. Cheers, Toots. What are you doing here?
Well, I'd like to have you over for dinner. Say, tomorrow night?
I think that would be positively nostalgic. Want me to bring someone with me?
If you wish, yes.
The guy across the road just left his wife. Shall I bring him along?
Well, anyone you want.
Yeah. You know what? I only wanted one guy, and you got him. Have a drink. This is quite an occasion, meeting you after seeing so much of you.
After seeing so much of me?
Sure. Last year, every time I was out with Jimmy, I'd see you lurking in the bushes somewhere. Where's your magnifying glass and bloodhounds?
I didn't like doing it, Miss Fleetwood. It was a job.
You made it pay off, honey. Oh, come off it. Tailing a man, getting the dope in his private life, then scaring him into marriage.
That's a lie.
It isn't? The night Eloise died, I went to see her.
You were with her the night she died?
That's what I said. And she told me she was more scared of you than any of us. Oh, you're good, sister. You're real good. But you're not going to keep him. You hear me? It would have been me if you hadn't interfered.
Give it to me.
Dutch, Judy Fleetwood was there the night Eloise died. She told me so herself. That's how smart she is.
Good. Anything else?
Well, I didn't get a chance to find out about the glove. I got so
I
mad.
found the glove, Shadow.
What?
Yeah, the other flame blue glove.
Well, where'd you find it?
Where every dame, even the smartest one, can lose a glove when she's driving a car, tucked down on the cushions.
Oh, I see.
Cost me a lot of time and money, Shadow, but I expect to get it back. Girl who owned that car got lots of money, loaded.
Well, what happens now?
We'll wind it up tonight, Shadow. You know that little house outside the gate to the Fleetwood dame's place?
Yes?
Meet you there at 9.
Oh, I have to hang up. Goodbye, Mr. Dameron.
Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Lana Turner in the Flame Blue Glove, an episode of Suspense, December 15th, 1949.
Who are you talking with?
Oh, just a friend. Jimmy, do you think I'm lying?
2 nights ago, you were having dinner with Louise Gowans. She'd just come in from Hawaii.
Yes?
Louise called me at the office today. She tried to get you at home. She told me she just got in today from New York. Well, Sarah?
I hoped you wouldn't catch me, darling. Actually, I had to meet a man. Well, it was for your birthday. A surprise.
It's hard to keep up with you sometimes, Sarah. Who do we know drives a gray coupe? I know you once owned one, but
Well, I'm sure I don't know.
Coming home twice now, I've seen him sitting in it. Seemed to be interested in our house. Thought he might be your doctor.
My doctor? Oh, what are you talking about, Jimmy?
Migraine headaches, darling.
Oh. Millicent shouldn't have mentioned it. They're really nothing.
It's funny. Eloise used to have migraines. Here.
What are those?
Take 2 of these. Put you right to sleep. I don't want you to suffer anymore. You shouldn't take too many of these, of course.
Well, that's awfully sweet, Jimmy, but I feel perfectly fine.
Do as I say. Here, take them.
But, Jimmy, dear... All right.
Now, go on up to bed. Sarah, I'm sorry I found out about my birthday surprise.
Yes, darling.
I'll have to plan a surprise for you someday, won't I?
I pawned the sleeping pills, of course. Another little trick you taught me. I waited in my room 20 minutes. I could hear Jimmy listening outside my door. Then I quietly dialed the operator and told her my phone seemed to be out of order and asked her to call me back. As soon as it rang, and I heard Jimmy race to answer it downstairs, I was down the back stairs and out of the house. I was still 10 minutes early for our appointment at Judy Fleetwood's. I was quite calm. The night was dark, and I had my gun. I stood in the shadows and waited for you. I expected to hear your car first, but you fooled me, Dutch. I couldn't make out the shadow across the driveway, but I could smell the pipe smoke, and I fired. Dutch! Dutch!
All right, Shadow.
Oh!
Drop it.
Dutch!
I said drop it. You never did learn how to shoot a gun, did you, Shadow? But you learned everything else.
It's money you want, isn't it, Dutch?
What good would it do me, Shadow? I'd be asking for something like this every time I came around to collect from you. And you might learn to shoot straight after a while.
So, this is it, Dutch.
This is it, baby. I've got the glove in your old car, the mate to the one you left in Eloise's room the night you fed her those pills. Even got you now on attempted murder.
Nothing much for me to say, is there?
Nope. That enough for you, Lieutenant?
I guess it is. Sarah Oliver Conway, you're under arrest for the murder of Eloise Conway.
Jimmy came to see me today. He said you phoned him yesterday and told him I would attempt to kill you because you were closing in on me for Eloise's murder. Dutch, Jimmy gave me 2 sleeping pills after he talked to you. He was trying to keep me from doing anything until he could think of some way out of all this. But you wouldn't understand what that means to me, I guess. You never loved anybody, Dutch.
Next Thursday for Suspense, Eddie Cantor will be our star. The play is called Double Entry. And it is, as we say,
a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tonight's transcribed suspense play was produced and edited by William Spear and directed by Norman MacDonald. Music for Suspense is composed by Lucien Morawek and conducted by Lud Bluskin. The Flame Blue Glove is an original radio play by Lois E.B. and John C. Fleming, adapted for Suspense by E. Jack Newman. Lana Turner appeared by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of Dore Sherry's Battleground, starring Van Johnson, John Hodiak, Ricardo Montalban, and George Murphy. For the second consecutive year, Lana Turner has been named the most popular star by the readers of Modern Screen magazine in its motion picture popularity poll.
Yep, back in the day, some of the top stars wanted to be on Suspense. Of course, some performed better than others. Lana Turner on Suspense. December 15th, 1949. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 4, the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Lansing Fraud Matter. Howard McNear is a bad guy in this one. This episode originally broadcast December 15th, 1955.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Jim Carter, Johnny.
Hi.
How'd you make out with Hillary Franks? The agent who sold the policy?
He's worried, he's scared, and he's already doing everything wrong. I left him about an hour ago to think things over.
Ah, Mrs. Kennedy's fighting back.
What do you mean?
Her lawyer served notice on us an hour ago to pay up on the policy or else.
Just a bluff.
Yeah, but this wasn't. She got a court order and made the coroner release her brother's body. She took it right to the crematorium. Exhibit A is a pile of ashes by now.
Uh-oh.
Her next step is to contact the State Insurance Commission and have them order us to pay off or show cause. We'll have to act fast.
Maybe I better go back to see Mr. Hillary Franks.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. Location, Tucson, Arizona. To the Universal Adjustment Bureau, Home Office, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Lansing fraud. $50,000. And by now I was sure it was fraud. Expense account, item number 8, $5. Stenographic services. I dictated a hastily composed letter to the State Insurance Commission advising them that Worldwide was withholding payment on the claim of Mrs. Arlene Kennedy pending a complete investigation of the circumstances of her brother's death. I enclosed copies of the original physical examination and the coroner's autopsy findings, pointing out that in our opinion it was impossible for James Lansing to have successfully passed an insurance examination in the first place. I enclosed copies of statements from the examining physician, Dr. Mayhood, and the members of his office staff, all of whom were unable to identify the body of James Lansing. Expense account item 9, 52 cents, postage. I sent the letter to the state capitol special delivery in the hope it would arrive there before Mrs. Kennedy's lawyers took the anticipated action. After that, I drove back over to the office of Hillary Franks. He was the same as I left him an hour before. A little shaken, but still unable to realize quite what was happening.
Yes, Mr. Dollar?
Mr. Franks, I wonder if you've got anything to say to me.
Nothing, Mr. Dollar.
I was hoping you might want to make a statement.
Oh? About what?
Mrs. Kennedy's attempting to defraud your insurance company?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Dollar. I sold her brother an insurance policy. I don't even know Mrs. Kennedy.
There are a lot of things about this you say you don't know. Do you want me to lay it on the line?
If you like.
All right. Someone else had to take that physical examination for James Lansing 2 years ago. I think you arranged for someone to do it, or you helped Mrs. Kennedy arrange it. I think James Lansing was insured on that basis. I think he was insured with a clean intent to defraud. Lansing's health wouldn't permit that kind of insurance. Right now, our Los Angeles men are looking into Lansing's activities there. Somewhere along the line, they're going to turn up a medical history that'll show Lansing was already dying when he came to Arizona 2 years ago. Now, do you have anything to say, Mr. Franks?
No.
I think you're being very foolish. If it isn't clear how serious this can be with you, it's noted that you arranged for Lansing's physical examination.
There's nothing incriminating in that.
How well do you know Dr. Mayhood?
Oh, slightly. The physician is supposed to be an impartial third party. When a client has to be examined by a physician for insurance purposes, I send him to Dr. Mayhood. That's all. Dr. Mayhood sends me a Christmas card every year. I sent James Lansing to him.
Just like any other?
Just like any other.
Oh, you worry me, Mr. Franks. You don't object to my questions or get ruffled when you're caught lying. I've given you time to think and time to make a statement regarding your part in this matter.
I resent all this, Mr. Dollar. I've been an insurance broker for a good long time, and no one has ever questioned my integrity.
And I think that's what you've been banking on, Mr. Franks, your reputation. Well, I've been questioning it ever since I got here, and I still question it. You couldn't have known James Lansing without being aware of his drinking habits. I'm sorry for you, Franks, but there had to be collusion here with the beneficiary, Mrs. Kennedy. And you're the logical party.
Dollar.
You arranged for someone else to take that examination for Lansing, somebody who could pass it. Now, I've given you a chance to talk to me, but you refuse. Now we'll see how you like talking to the police about it.
What?
I'm going to swear out a warrant for your arrest.
Dollar,
I'm going to charge you with attempted fraud and collusion. And I'm going to swear out a warrant for Mrs. Kennedy, too. You're going to jail. Oh! Oh! In the 3 minutes it took me to recover from the blow from the paperweight and get my breath inside of me and my feet under me, Hillary Franks was well out of the way and out of sight. About that time, Jim Carter walked in.
Hey, what happened to you?
Hillary Franks. He got scared, swung a paperweight at me, and beat it.
Well, if he's playing rough, I don't want to take any chances.
No, put that phone down. He hasn't admitted anything yet.
Smacking you on the side of the head is admittance enough for me.
No, I want a statement. I think I can get one.
You have to find him first, and he's running.
He won't run far, Jim.
What makes you so sure?
Hillary Franks doesn't know how to run. It was exactly 3 o'clock in the afternoon then. At 3:25, I was back out in Catalina Vista knocking on a familiar door. And the same familiar things began to happen all over again.
What do you want?
I'm here to tell you about the trouble you're in, Mrs. Kennedy. Hillary Franks gave it all away.
Gave what away? Who's Hillary Franks? What are you talking about?
About that insurance policy that was written up and issued in your brother's name. You're the one who stood to gain most by your brother's death after having someone else take an insurance examination for him. But you had to have help to pull it off. Hillary Franks helped you. For what reason or how you got him to do it, I don't know. But I do know a man with a 17-year record as insurance broker is ruined.
You're crazy. I don't know anybody named Hillary Franks. Now get out of here.
Oh, stop it, will you? I told him how he stood in this matter a half hour ago, and he socked me with a paperweight and beat it.
I've had about enough
But
of
he
you,
isn't going to run far. Principally because he doesn't know how to run, Mrs. Kennedy. He'll cool off, and he'll begin thinking about all this business in a new light. A few minutes ago, it dawned on him what he'd done. He'd kicked his whole lifetime right out the window. He'd been found out. He's lost all around. And he's going to be mad about that. And you're the one he's going to be mad at because you got him into it.
I told you, I don't know anybody named Hillary Franks. That's the last time I'll say it.
He'll probably want to kill you, Mrs. Kennedy.
What?
I said he'll think about all this, and he'll probably want to kill you. Do we talk now?
I don't see why. I've done nothing wrong.
Who did you get to take that physical for your brother?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You got your brother drunk enough to sign the insurance papers, didn't you?
I had nothing to do with my brother taking out life insurance and naming me his beneficiary. That was his business. Now that he's dead, it's my position to receive the payment. That's all.
Okay, Mrs. Kennedy. We'll get it all from Hillary Franks.
Yes, why don't you do that?
In the meantime, I hope you sleep well, knowing what you've done.
You'll never be able to prove any of these things you're saying. Never.
And for 24 hours, it looked as if Mrs. Kennedy might have been right. There was no way to involve her unless we had a statement from Hillary Franks, and he was still missing. I set up a watch on Mrs. Kennedy's house, and Jim Carter kept an eye on Hillary Franks' place. About 10 o'clock that night, Jim Carter drove up.
Hiya.
Hi.
Any action?
No. Mrs. Kennedy's been in all the night. No one showed up.
Mm-hmm.
How about Frank's place?
No. No one there when I left an hour ago.
You'd think he'd come back for a suitcase or some money or something.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
I called in the police.
Oh.
In the name of Worldwide, I filed charges of attempted fraud and collusion against him. They issued a warrant half an hour ago. He's on an APB and all the local bulletins.
Well, I suppose you had to do it, Jim.
Yeah. We'll let the police handle this part from now on, huh?
How about Mrs. Kennedy?
We'll keep an eye on her, too.
Did you file any charges against her?
Not yet. We need a statement from Franks.
Jim.
Yeah?
What would you do if you were Hillary Franks?
Try to grab an airplane. Maybe go down to Nogales, cross the border. Look up a friend, borrow some money. They get out and keep traveling. What?
He won't do anything like that.
Won't he?
He'll find himself a place to sit down and think. In the end, the cops won't find him. He'll find us.
Want to bet?
By the next morning, the police had still been unable to locate Hillary Franks. I left Jim Carter in the room on a long-distance call to the Insurance Commission, advising them of the events up to date. Drove out to Hillary Franks' office. I noticed 2 police officers loitering across the street as I walked in the front door.
Yes?
How do you do?
Are you another policeman?
No, I'm not. Have they been bothering you a lot?
If you aren't a policeman and you know all about this, what do you want?
I want to help Mr. Franks if I can. I'm Johnny Dollar, Universal Adjustment Bureau. You're his secretary?
Yes.
How long have you worked for him?
12 years.
Do you like him?
What? He's always been a fine man. I don't believe any of these things about him, and I don't see
What's
why...
your name? I think he said Maria?
Maria Vano.
Maria, I'm not going to ask you any questions about Mr. Franks. I know enough about him now for my purposes. The rest he can tell me himself. Maria, I may be able to help him stay out of jail. I can do that if I talk to him.
Well, how
My name's Johnny Dollar. I'm at the Pioneer Hotel. Remember that.
But Mr. Dollar...
I don't know whether he's phoned you yet or not. A man like that's going to need help, money. I'm not asking you if he's contacted you. But listen to me carefully. If he does phone you or contact you in any way, ask him to phone me. If you ever respected him or if you want to help him now, please ask him to telephone me. Thanks. I drove back to the hotel and waited for results. Another 12 hours went by. Hillary Franks was still missing, and Mrs. Kennedy was still refusing to admit anything. Finally, about 11 o'clock that night, my phone rang. Johnny Dollar. Hello.
This is Hillary Franks.
Where are you?
Never mind. Dollar, they know all about me back at the home office, I suppose?
Yes.
I'd like to explain some things to you so you can pass them on. I'd like the people back there to know why I did it. And, well, before I leave town...
You won't get far. The police are looking for you.
Oh, I can get away all right.
Mr. Franks, Worldwide doesn't want to prosecute. The notoriety would be bad for them. If you'd make a statement, sign it, I think I could talk them into dropping the whole matter.
Maybe we'd better get together.
Come on over.
Oh, no, I'm not that crazy. Do you know how to get to the San Javier mission?
I can find it.
In 15 minutes?
Right.
And, Dollar,
Yeah?
it's right out in the open. If you bring the police, I'll use a gun. I bought one this morning.
All right, Mr. Franks.
be another intriguing episode of the Lansing Fraud tomorrow.
Tomorrow, $50,000 worth of murder. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by John Dawson, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure and join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
December 15th, 1955, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there. If you would like to support our program, you can buy me a copy that goes to us acquiring additional classic radio collections and more. That's at classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. We thank you for making us a part of your day. If you're building a classic radio collection of your own and would like to get your hands on some really great sounding classic radio on cassette, CD, or on flash drive for your computer, my friend Ted at RadioMemories.com has been restoring shows and has a whole bunch. He gets us a lot of classic radio theater shows like Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, Lum and Abner. He also has CBS Radio Mystery Theater and other shows. Contact Ted, RadioMemories.com. As always, please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be here each and every time you roll around on your favorite station. And as always, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.